Everyone, from me, Brent Graham of Good for the Game. Well, it's a big sporting week ahead for us. There may be no rugby on Saturday, but there's the Tour de France. And of course, there's the Hollywoodbets Durban July. And here to talk to me about it is someone who often joins us on the previous show. It's my partner at Good for the Game. And let me tell you up front that he does have a horse in one of the races. We look forward to hearing about that as well. But Chris, welcome to the show, man. Always one of the biggest weekends of the year, probably the biggest punting weekend of the year for South Africans.
Absolutely, Brent. I mean, we're big fans of the Tour de France, but my Tour de France will start on stage 2 on Sunday. Saturday's all about the racing for me.
It's all about the racing. And I know you and I are recording this on Wednesday morning. You're meeting up with some mates at a pub later to talk through some of your bets. So that'll be great fun as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Well, just we're going to use Betway prices today as we go through. To open an account at Betway, you can log on to betway.co.za and use the promotion code GFTG. Right, let's get cracking though, Chris. I think let's start with the Durban July, because that is, of course, the big one that everyone wants to hear about. We've got a field of 18 runners taking to the post. I'm going to bring the betting up on this one now from the Betway site. What are you settling on this race?
I think it's wide open, Brent, but the one that I like best is Winchester Mansion, number 4. Currently second favourite, around 11-2 there by the look of that screen.
Yes, 11-2.
Yeah. A while ago, you would have had 25-1 about this in the anti-post markets, but there's been steady support. And even in the early part of this week, July week, it's come down from, say, 7-1, 6-1, and now around 11-2. I don't think it should get much shorter because it's an open race. But yeah, Brett Crawford, Cabela Mazziniani, the jockey, well drawn at 4, no stamina doubts, 2 runs at Greyville, close second to Pekeya, who it takes on again. That was a first run after Gelding and a long break, and then a really good win in the Cup trial last time out. And Winchester Mansion needed to win that race in order to get book its ticket into the July. The other thing, Brent, if it does come up wet, we might need to keep an eye on the weather. 4 runs on the wet, 2 wins, 2 places. Ticks all the boxes for me, but an open race for sure. But I'm not going to overcomplicate it. In terms of a win bet, Winchester Mansion's the one for me.
Right. Anything else? Are you going to be taking a quartet going for that, or a pick 6 on the day?
Well, this is it. The quartet, there's a carryover, and the likely pool's supposed to be about 10 bar. Now, if you can catch this, then, it's going to pay. I'm sure it's going to pay. Difficult to say.
Because Chris, we won't commit to it now early in the week, but we'll put an article up with a quartet and possibly a jackpot or a pick 6 or maybe a little accumulator. And I will put a link, if you're watching this at any time, really, have a look below if there's a link to that. We'll put a link to it. And people can follow our quartets or our jackpots in there if they wish.
Absolutely. We'll put something together. And one thing to mention about Betway, Brent, is that you can bet fixed odds, traditionally fixed odds for your win bets and your place bets and so forth. But you can also bet directly into the top pools. So you can take your place accumulators, your buy pots, and obviously your quartet for the July. That's the one to go on. Yeah, after Winchester Mansion, which I'll probably use as a banker in my quartet, a floating banker to come in the first 4. There's all the Justin Snaith runners need consideration. Mike de Kock's got a couple in there. I think he's sponsored by Betway. And I don't stop there. Yeah, Billy Bowlegs is my Hail Mary at around 40-1 at the moment. But you're going to need something to make the quartet pay. So you need to look wide and go. Find a floating banker or 2 if you want, and then you're going to have to go some to try and catch it.
Right. Well, let's move on to the first race on the card then, Chris. And just to mention, you've done a preview on all these races. If people don't pick it up on the show now, I'll put the link down below to your preview as well. They can go and read it on Good for the Game there. But what have you got for us in the first?
I like Secret Identity. Currently favourite, 33-10. Cape Town horse, but has had 2 runs at Greyville and won both times. Not the ideal draw, but I'm looking for selections that are going to give us a good run for our money, and I think Secret Identity will be bang there.
Right, hopefully get us off to a strong start. Race number 2, Chris.
Jerusalem Rain was my first choice. Less than 3 lengths behind Lucky Lad, who's the standout 2-year-old of his genre. And 11-2 looks a fair price to me on that. There's plenty of dangers, Brent, and most of the fancied horses are well drawn. But again, I think we'll get a decent run for our money. And if it stays around 11-2, I wouldn't put anybody off.
I must say, I had a quick look at the card, and I didn't have a full look at the betting, but it doesn't look like many short price favourites on Saturday. So it's certainly going to be a card where we could get some big pulls, some big payouts. But yeah, probably as punters, not that easy to catch the winners. Right, race number 3.
Yeah, tricky one, this one, Brent. I spent ages on this and I really couldn't find anything that I really liked. Aragosta, Mike de Kock, 11-2 or so in the current betting. It was punted last time and I think came second. Certainly didn't win because we had it bankered in our jackpot. But it might not have been suited by a small field on that occasion. No problem with the trip here. Yeah, I think we'll get a run for our money with Aragosta, but it's a tricky race, this. If you're looking for one at a big price, possibly more places than wins, Sean Terry Shango on its day, that could be a factor in a race like this. Right,
race number 4.
Again, another tricky one. This is the marathon trip, real stayers here. Wide open again. Arumagan, more in hope than confidence. Currently around 4-1, I think, favourite, which surprised me a little bit. Stays all day. Again, I think we'll get a run for our money with Arumagan.
Right, and is this the first leg of the pick 6, Chris?
Race 4 is, yeah, and I think the estimated pool is expected around 20 million, and that's a tricky leg to start off with here. I think you're going to have to go wide there and then look to go short in a couple of other legs that we've got coming up.
Right, I just wanted to get a nice close-up. Okay, Chris, race 5, what have you got for us here?
Mrs. Geriatrics, the one to beat, Brent, and this will be a popular choice for the pick 6 punters. In terms of value, I thought Egyptian Mao, Lucky Houdalakis, he's sending this one down from the Val. Only had 2 runs.
60 this week, Chris.
He turned 60 on Tuesday. Yeah. So, yeah, congrats to Lucky. He's a great guy. He has had success recently when raiding KZN, walked off with the Oaks a couple of weeks back at Scottsville with none other. And, yeah, this one's only had 2 runs. Had excuses last time. Currently priced around 14-1, maybe more places than wins, but an alternative to Mrs. Geriatrics, who's a short price.
Right, let's go into the 6th race. This, of course, is the curtain runner to the big one, the Durban July.
Yeah. 2-year-olds again. Boys, I think there's one filly. Hawkbill, again, Lucky Houdalakis, and a similar sort of price to Egyptian Mao, but perhaps a little bit less. This one's doesn't seem as though it's been all that straightforward, but one last time out, seems to be coming right. I think he'll give us a run for our money. Again, perhaps more places than wins.
Right, we skip a race because we've already covered the July. We're on to race 8, Chris.
Yeah, the way that this is priced up, Princess Color of Sean Tarries and Desert Miracle of Mike de Cox as a matchup. Difficult to argue with those, or if there is one to upset, then maybe Feather Boa, although it's got to come from the widest gate. Princess Color's had a phenomenal season, absolutely phenomenal, and yeah, it could well be the right one. I just had an inkling for Desert Miracle over the 1600 because Princess Color, although has no problem with the mile trip, Desert Miracle has beaten Captain's Ransom over a longer distance this season, and maybe she can lower Princess Color's colours here. It looks between the front 2. Feather Boa may be worth throwing in there for swingers and other exotics.
Right, just to mention, if you're not already a subscriber to our weekly newsletter, there is a link down below to subscribe. We normally cover rugby betting, but this week going to be plenty of Durban July in there. So do click on that link and sign up. It is a free newsletter that goes out normally on a Friday. Right, Chris? We're into the final leg of the pick 6, race number 9.
Yeah, I like the top 2 in the betting. Thunderstruck against Sean Terry and Sir J. Ran against each other last time and not an awful lot between them, in all honesty. That was Sir J's second run after gelding. This is third run after gelding. I think Sir J may be the right one here at around 6-1, Brent. Although there is the draw would favour Thunderstruck, but my gut feel is Sir J can oblige for us here.
Okay, Chris, well, that's the pick 6 out of the way. We're now into a race 10. Now, at this stage of proceedings, you're either sitting comfortable and looking to add to your profits, or you're chasing hard. I've got a feeling you might have a double-digit horse for us in this race, though.
Well, yeah, if you are chasing hard, there may be one that can get us out here, and that's number 14, Royal Victory, which coincidentally it comes out of gate 14 and is currently a 14-1 shot. Now, we've got a small share in this baby boy, and that trophy that you can see behind us there, he won a grade 3 race up in Joburg just into the new year, and also performed well in grade 1s and grade 2s. This is a listed handicap. He had a holiday after his Joburg exploits, and unfortunately when he came back into work he had a setback. We were hoping at one stage that we might even get a run in the July this year, but those plans all went up in smoke. One comeback run, he was behind a lot of these, a few of these, Forever Mine and Silvano's Dasher, to name but two. There's also Quasi for Sure, Money Heist going to be a popular choice. It's a really, really open race. But the word is that our boy's working well again. Hopefully he'll be somewhere near fit, which he wasn't last time on his prep run. And I think he'll be running on at them at the end, Brent, in the last 100 or so. That's his running style. Who knows? Maybe he can run into the money. Maybe he can get in front. And at 14-1, you can't get hurt. So maybe small wins and each way bet there. And yeah, as I say, I don't want to stick anybody out. It's a very open race, but I wouldn't put you off Royal Victory.
And you certainly won't be putting me off. I'll be backing Royal Victory. Absolutely no doubt about that. Right, 2 races to go, Chris. Race 11, we've got our Royal Victory winnings bagged. What do we back here?
Okay, well, it's well after dark now by this time. And these last 2 races, handicaps on the polytrack, Brent, very open again. Asia Pambile in race 11, around 6-1. That would hopefully give us a good run for our cash. And in the final race of the day, Turpitz hasn't run on the poly before. Again, it's a wide open race, currently around 4-1. If it takes to the surface, I think it'll be bang there.
Excellent, Chris. Well, just a reminder to people, they can subscribe to our channel for all betting-related content, horse racing, rugby, cycling. I'm going to be previewing every stage of the Tour de France on YouTube as well. And then you can open an account at Betway and use the sign-up code GFTG, or just go to Good for the Game and click on any of the banners there to open up your Betway account. Chris, it's been great chatting to you, mate. I know you've got a massive week ahead. You've also put in huge work on the Good for the Game website already. You've got profiles of all the horses there. So have a good, strong end to the week, but I'm hoping you can put your feet up on Saturday, relax, and enjoy a great day's racing.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Brent. Let's hope that we can find a few winners from that list.
Excellent. And just to tell everyone, we will be having a couple of July previews. We'll be doing the traditional one with Southpaw and Jason Dedigan. And the Oracle has also suggested he wants to come out of the woodwork on Friday evening and have a bit of a chat to me about some horse racing. So do look out for that. That will probably be a live show as well. Great, Chris. Thanks very much. And thanks for watching. Do remember to subscribe to our show and check out Good for the Game for all of our Durban July coverage.